Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us via Facebook or YouTube. Welcome to you as well. And of course, special welcome to our members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And anybody who is a guest, we are so glad that you are here to pray with us this Shabbat. So I am Rabbi Rachel here with Cantor Lauren Adesnik. Under your seat, you will find our prayer book. It looks like this. If you grab the one that says Torah, that's the Torah. Oh, see, Aiden. Grab the Torah. There you go. Perfect. And it looks like everybody's doing a great job. We ask that per CDC guidelines, you keep your mask over your mouth and nose throughout our service. If you need to step out of the sanctuary, you can do so through that door over there, through the door which most of you came in, and there's also an exit behind you as well. Friends, take a second to go ahead and silence your phones, Apple Watches that beep, all of that. Just kind of let it be quiet for the next hour or so. And of course, a special shout out to Aiden Rothman on the weekend of becoming Bar Mitzvah. He will lead us in prayer and in Torah tomorrow morning. So I would love it if you would take a second online, start saying Shabbat Shalom if you haven't already. And if you're here in the sanctuary, try to turn to somebody that you did not drive here with and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
Try that with me. Three more times. Last time, there you go. I will build this world from love. Here comes your part. We'll keep coming back to that. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Then God will build this world from love.
As we center ourselves into this sacred space, I'll invite you to take a moment perhaps to close your eyes, feel your feet on the floor if they reach, or your back against the chair. We're just going to take a second to leave behind the week that was, all of those moving parts to get to your weekend. They've happened. And so now we get to enter these 25 hours of soaking up the holy vitamins of Shabbat. So let's take some breaths together to bring us into that space. Deep breath in. Let it out. Another deep breath. Let it out. This final breath, we enter Shabbat. Deep breath in, and we let it out. Flutter our eyes open. We're on page 120, and I would love it if Allison Rothman would come on up for our candle lighting. We actually have it up here for you. You're all set. So you can go ahead and use the big one to light the other two. Yep. Please rise. Amen. 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 So friends, if you would like to, thank you so much. If you would like to light your own Shabbat candles, I invite you to do so to my right and to my left as we join together welcoming the Sabbath angels with Shalom Aleichem, page 142. If you're going to stay at your seat, I'll invite you to be seated.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide together. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. We turn to page 138, continuing our welcome of Shabbat as we welcome the Sabbath bride, the Chadodi, page 138.
L'chadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nikabel. Now you try l'chadodi, that's right, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nikabel. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishrianu el hamiluchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, v'shemo tiferet, v'lis tehila. L'chadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nikabela. We sing that again. L'chadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nikabela. Likrat Shabbat, l'chu v'nelecha, one more time.
We rise and face the door. We face forward. Page 146, we have warmed ourselves up in prayer, and we continue into our Ma'ariv service with Baruch Hu. Welcome in the darkness in just a moment, and because I want to talk just for a second about, keep playing under, it's not that long, about how when I was on my way to synagogue tonight, and maybe you were in the car around 6:30-ish, that there was just the most majestic sunset that was happening in this city. And so it's those little moments where we can take a deep breath and say, God is in this place. We welcome the evening, roll into dark, found in the back inside cover of your prayer book.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
Page 152, we feel our feet on the floor. We stand proud, perhaps fluttering our eyes closed. We declare God's oneness. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Melchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated, unless you're having your bar mitzvah tomorrow. Then I'll invite you, Aiden, to come on up. There's a microphone hiding right there. You see it? You're gonna have to flick the switch up to be on, and then we've hooked you up with a nice little music stand right there so you can put your prayer book. And Aiden is now going to lead us in Ve'ahavta, the prayer. It's so nice to have this ritual back in our service because we're supposed to impress the teachings of our Torah upon our children, and Aiden is the future. Tomorrow he becomes a young Jewish man in our community. And so while you're a child for one more night, your parents might say differently, but while you're a child for one more night in the eyes of the congregation, please lead us, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקרת שם להיות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Beautiful, Aiden, thank you. If you will, just pass that microphone to me, and then I'll invite you to head back to your seat. Thank you. So friends, we will continue in our service, turning to page 159. I'll invite us to read this prayer, pray this prayer together. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, in earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Michamocha, page 158.
Yai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Try that with me. Yai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. The next part goes yai dai, yai dai dai dai. That's it, you've got it. Tehilot, oh say Phelem. Beautiful. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai.
Friends, we turn to pages 161 and 160. We'll be using words from the top of both pages as we share together in this prayer, asking for God to spread a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace over all of us.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivelu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivelu, Lishalom. Nehamidenu, Shomrenu Lechayim. Ufrosalenu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Ashkivelu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivelu, Lishalom. Ashkivelu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivelu, Lishalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
On page 162, we have Vishamru, our special prayer that we get to say only on Shabbat. This prayer is, like I said earlier, that reminder to soak up, I call them the holy vitamins of Shabbat, that Shabbat energy, that Shabbat rest, to just take that moment, set time aside for yourself, to be with family, and have a wonderful Shabbat. Vishamru, page 162.
Vishameru b'nei Yisrael. Actually, let's take it right there. That's all for everyone. One more time.
There we go.
Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. La'asot et HaShabbat. L'dorotam berit olam. Vishameru. Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. Feel free to clap. This is a beat. La'asot et HaShabbat. L'dorotam berit olam. Vishameru. Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. La'asot et HaShabbat. L'dorotam berit olam. B'nei b'nei Yisrael. B'nei b'nei Yisrael. Oti le'olam. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ועשו את השבת לדורותם בריתם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ועשו את השבת לדורותם בריתם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ועשו את השבת לדורותם בריתם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ועשו את השבת לדורותם בריתם.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts. Anybody else a podcaster? Listening to the podcast? Ooh, yeah. So Peloton, if we listen to the same podcast, Peloton showed up in a lot of my news podcasts and my economic podcasts this week. However, I set aside the news and I set aside the economics each time I brought up another strength class with Peloton instructor Robin Artzon. Because Robin is most known for her high energy, one-liners, love of hot sauce, and the fact that she left her lawyer career behind to pursue her new fitness dream. If you ever work out, I see nods, if you ever work out with her, those things come up in every single workout. Some of my favorite one-liners that she offers include, I only rock with royalty. It doesn't get easier, you get stronger. Chin up, crown on. You know a real queen fixes another queen's crown without telling her it's crooked. A crown of sweat and a soul of fire. There's something about the imagery of a crown that takes us back to the make-believe royal palaces that we used to conquer as children, and the superpower that we seemed to gain when we had even a few moments to be the king or the queen or the princess. Feeling royal, it's akin to feeling valued, important, and powerful. The crown is a sign of a leader, after all. And our Torah portion this week, Tetzaveh, it tells us about a different type of crown. And the name of this item for the priest's forehead, it was called the tzitz. Not seat, but tzitz. So the tzitz was not one of sweat or of jewels, but rather it was a pure gold band with the words Kodesh Ladonai, holy to Adonai, holy to God. And those words were said to be engraved on the front of that crown. And all of the priestly garments, they're all discussed in really great detail in these areas of the Torah portion, and as well as the other portions surrounding it right now. And the tzitz was to be worn any time that the priest would make a sacrifice. So on the one hand, we could interpret the inscription to be a call to action, that the priest should act holy toward God, and therefore sets upon his forehead a reminder, like sticks it right on his forehead, to be holy in his work that he is about to perform. On the other hand, our mystical texts tell us that the tzitz represents something deeper. Mystical traditions like Lurianic Kabbalah They seek to connect us to Torah and God through a deeper understanding of what are called the 10 sfirot, or the 10 attributes of God. And Rav Kook, the first Ashkenazi chief rabbi in pre-state Israel, he offers a Kabbalistic teaching, and it's this. It's that our forehead is the location of Ratzon, the transcendent level of the Kabbalistic sphira of Keter, crown. So this sphira is sometimes swapped out or even put above the sphira of Da'at, knowledge. So the Ratzon, which sits either upon our forehead or just above it, it holds our inner drive for goodness and holiness. It holds our inner drive for goodness and holiness. And thus, the tzitz, that gold plate, is symbolic of the Kohen's desire to reach the highest good that he can uncover within his inner soul. And there were some writings by Rabbi Mary Zamor that guided me to continue my study of our weekly Torah reading by turning to Zohar, the original source text of Kabbalah, for another understanding of the tzitz. So in the Zohar teaching, Rabbi Shimon points out that the word tzitz originates from the word latzutz, meaning to blossom or to bloom. And it's for this reason that the Zohar reveals another teaching. Because when an individual brought a sacrifice before the priest would be wearing the tzitz with its engraving Kodesh Ladonai, holy to God. The tzitz, in its pure gold, would offer a reflection to the person looking at it. The reflection would, one could say, blossom. And that reflection was said to show the level of righteousnness of that individual. So that when a righteous person stood in front of the priest, light would come back from the plate. If Gloria's wearing our priestly, if I'm wearing the priestly plate, Gloria's come before me. Unfortunately, that wouldn't happen back in then, but anyway. Her reflection would come off of my shiny gold plate, and I would be able to either see or not see something. Because if the light would shine back upon the person's face, then this was an indicator that God wanted to accept and receive the person's sacrifice. But if a person, this wouldn't happen to you, Gloria, if a person stood before the priest and his face never showed the reflective light, then the priest was to understand him as brazen and in need of atonement and rachamim, of atonement and of mercy. I will say, though, the priest didn't then do, as the kids would say these days, cancel the man. The priest did not turn the man away for his alleged brazenness. Rather, the priest would pray on the man's behalf for mercy and forgiveness so that the sacrifice of God could be accepted as pure. The brazen individual, one who is marked by shameless or disrespectful boldness, can have a wide range of behaviors, especially today. For example, Zohara, my daughter, acts in a brazen way when she holds out her food, just like a piece of food. We're at the table, she's holding it out, and I say, Zohara, let's keep our food on the table, please. And she stares into my soul and drops it. She does it all the time. Perhaps that's brazen. Okay, so that's like a very light example of this, a developmentally appropriate brazen action. Now, the kind of brazen individual that disrupts our world in a more profound way might be someone who just wants to watch the world burn, an actor of chaos like a supervillain or an anarchist, or perhaps even the person who walks around intentionally unvaccinated and unmasked, a brazen action. And today, we ask for more accountability for the brazen individual than in sacrificial times. We don't just pray away someone's shameless behavior. Instead, we name it, and when possible, we call it in. So sometimes brazen actions are, in reality, hurtful actions done out of ignorance. And when this is the case, we do ourselves a disservice in canceling an individual. But often, mistakes have far more nuance to them. If we don't leave room for tshuva, a complete return to the right path, then we join the original offender as one who has taken a brazen action. If we don't leave room for someone to educate themselves on the subject, then nothing will change. So with the commentary of the Zohar in mind, the actions of the priest remind us to look for the holiness in everyone we encounter. We do this when we start from a place of seeing them reflected back to us as Kodesh Ladonai, holy unto God. Now, unfortunately, we don't get the chance to walk around with one of those cool gold tzitzim to let us know whether or not somebody is Kodesh Ladonai or a jerk. But what I'm suggesting is that we walk around and assume everyone to be Kodesh Ladonai unless they've shown us otherwise. And when they make a mistake, we then need to remember that they were once Kodesh Ladonai and have the chance, through honest teshuvah and education, to return to the sacred status of holy. Like Rabbi Nartzon says, every queen needs to adjust their crown now and then. May we be blessed to surround ourselves with such holy souls, and may we do our part to help those whose crowns may have fallen to return to a sacred state. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue in our service with our Amidah, our Tefillah, on page 164. I ask that you please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech mimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue in silent prayer with the words of our liturgy or the prayers of our hearts. When you have completed your prayers, I invite you to be seated.
Rabbi shared this word letzutz, and my eyes fell upon these words from Rav Nachman of Braslav. Every word of one's prayer should be like a rose that is picked from a bush. One gathers rose upon rose until a bouquet is formed and can be offered to God as a beautiful blessing. And so I think about that blossoming of letzutz. And when we come together one rose after one rose, each of us, with that blooming light inside of us connecting with the next person and the next person, then we are truly building this world from love. And we are truly, hopefully, I think, reflecting that bright light that Rabbi Rachel talked about, that we may all be holy to God. Ya la la, la la, ya la la la. Let's sing that together as our offering. Ya la la, la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la. I will build this world. I will build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da. You must build, and you must build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da. And if we build this world from love, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da, then God will build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da. I will build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da. And you must build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da. And if we build this world from love, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da, then God will build this world from love. Ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da.
It's my pleasure to invite forward one of our co-presidents of the Board of Trustees, Robert Wittenstein, to share a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
First, let me give good wishes to Aiden and his family for a wonderful celebratory weekend. I'm sure it's all going to go off beautifully. There are a bunch of things going on. You'll see them in the Kesher Quick and in the Monday announcements. I'm only going to highlight two of them right now. One of them is that on Wednesday, February 23rd, the Cantor is doing a lunch and learn, and the topic is going to remain a mystery. She's not saying. So if you want to know what the lunch and learn is about, you have to come. That's the 23rd here. The other one that I want to mention is that on the 25th, we are doing, in conjunction with AIPAC, a pro-Israel community mobilization program. And we have close ties with AIPAC. We are a very pro-Israel congregation, and I would encourage you, if you have the opportunity to join us on the 25th for the AIPAC program, that both you will find it worthwhile, and it will help us in our efforts to help Israel. And with that, I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom. Thank you. If anybody has questions about that, I'm happy to answer them after services at the Oneg. So first, though, our chance to share some of the good things going on in our lives. This is my favorite tradition that we do on Friday nights here, and I'll start us off. So I'm Rabbi Rachel, and the really great thing going on in my life is that it's been a really great time working lately, and I'm going skiing in Park City in a few days, and so I'm super pumped to get back on the mountains again. Yes? Oh, wow, wonderful, wonderful. So Mazal Tov, a new baby born into Ariane's family, and a little early, but breathing on his own, a lot early, breathing on his own. Wonderful. Yeah.
I am David Arkin, and I am straight from the airport after a week of skiing with my wife in Beaver Creek. Wonderful time, and we both came back uninjured.
Mazel tov on coming back uninjured from a trip to Beaver Creek. We're glad you made it. Yes? Mazel tov. That services on your anniversary in the place where you got married. That's really special.
That's pretty cool.
I love that. Cantor?
I have to say that I am super, super grateful for my husband, who has been super dad. So I'm sitting because I've got a little iron deficiency. I'm fine. But I am so grateful for my husband because he has been taking care of the whole house and me and the baby. And I'm really grateful that he is there so I can do the healing I need to do and be here.
Awesome. So for all of these great moments from new beginnings, continued love, great husbands, health. Who did I miss? I think that's it. Yeah? No? No? All right. For all of those things, we are happy to have reached this moment in time this day. So we join together in She'achiyanu, page 648. But by the time you get there, we will be done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achiyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu hazman hazeh. Amen.
So just as we get to join together in happy times and share the good, community is not community unless it also lifts one another up when things aren't as good as they could be. And we have some friends in our community who we are praying for their healing, and that is Pesha Rachel, Brett Samsky, Ya'ari Bat Shmuel Verut, Joel Reish, Meir Ben Rachmiel Vedina, Gloria Carfrey, Mordechai bin Moshe Ve'atara, Ashish Sharma, Chava Yeta Bat Yehudit, Howard Ackerman, Ken Schiffer, Helen Ray, Kathy Cook, Ludmila Koven, Michelle Lappin, Nella Krupnik, and Daniel Bronson. There is somebody that you are thinking of this Shabbat and you'd like to share their name with us. I'll invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. And those joining us online, I invite you, if you have permission, to put those names into our chat feed that is going on right now. I'll ask that folks rise. We're on page 371. If you're with your pod, wrap an arm around one another as we join together in our prayer for healing. Mishaberach.
Mikol
We will remain standing as we continue in our service to sanctify Shabbat with Kiddush on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahavahu v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. This balance.
There you
It's
go.
safe, it's safe.
It's
All right. We'll remain standing. Aleinu l'shabeach, page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Repeat after me. V'hashevota. El levavecha. Ki Adonai. Hu ha'Elohim. Now you. No, nice. V'ne'emar. V'haya Adonai. L'melech al kol ha'aretz. V'yom hahu. Yeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad.
Please be seated. We've reached the point in our service where we call to mind the memories of those who have died in recent days, as well as those who have died in seasons past. And so we are thinking of the family and friends of Rebecca Somberg, Sky Litvin, Ernest Tischler, Stuart Young, Ada Weiner Abelman, Sally Abramson, Ruth K. Ambinder, Daniel Adam Bear, Fanny Barron, Salomon Benaroch, Zelda Bidnick, Howard Blank, Richard Blass, Theodore Blyman, Kinley Brower, Emma Elkina, Alan Elster, Marlene Foreman, Morris Friedman, Gustav Gilbert, Rose Goldberg, Lon Gratz, Eve Greenstein, Catherine Grossman, Mac Hanner, Rosalind Ruth Hirschberg, David Eisenberg, Lois Eisenberg, Faye Jose, Annette Kabacker, Jerry Katz, Edward Kaliski, Sidney Lazarov, Walter Malice, Frida Mednick, Samuel Miller, Sidney Rosen, Sam Rosenberg, Harvey Sobel, Betty Schulman, Harry Seitz, Merle Shane, William Sommerstein, Richard T. Steinberg, Arlene Steinfeld, Gerald Stepakoff, Norman Stoyer, William R. Stolomak, Morris Talansky, Bernard Teller, Reuben Turner, George Joseph Wertheim, and James A. Williams. If there is a name for which I inadvertently skipped or mispronounced, I'll invite you to share that name out loud at this time. If you are in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, I skipped ahead. If you are in a period of Shiva, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. If you are in Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. If you are in the first year, Yod Bet, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. And if on this Shabbat you are commemorating a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I'll invite you to please rise. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now. The words can be found on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei omayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei kudasha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you'll join us out at the Oneg outside. Unless the temperature drops dramatically while we're in here, it'll be pretty mild out there. So I'll see everybody out